In this video, I'm just going to wrap up our discussion around inputs and different form controls. There are plenty of elements or different form controls we have not yet covered and probably won't. For example, it's pretty uncommon to use a week picker or a month picker, a date time local. All of these are here, but we're not going to spend much time on them. But there are a couple that I do want to highlight, and they don't really have a lot to do with one another, but I'm just going to make this quick. So the first one is range. A range input creates a little slider where a user can select some value on a sliding range. And we can control the minimum and maximum values. So this could be going from 0 to 100, or it could be going from 500 to 520. It's totally up to us using different attributes. But the way that we create this slider and this range input, surprise, surprise, is input type equals range. So why don't I do that here? I'll do a paragraph, an input type equals range. And what should our range input be for? How about, we'll do a label here. How about amount of cheese? Sure. And this will be a label for cheese. ID needs to be cheese. Great. So now we've got our label connected to our range input. And let's also figure out what the minimum and maximum values are. We can set that using min and max attributes. So let's do that right here. Let's do min equals, what should our cheese go to or go from? How about just 1 to 10? Max equals 10. So you're not going to notice a huge difference here. It is a little bit different because now I can only step 10 times. It's not as smooth. And if I submit this, let's say it's, let's go to 9 right there, submit. Oh, I never gave it a name. That's my fault. Let's give it a name, cheese level maybe. Try that again. Let's set it up to 9, submit, cheese level equals 9. If I go all the way down to the bottom, it should equal 1, and the top should be 10. Now I could also change that. I could make that 100. And now my cheese level goes to 1, or from 1 to 100. And I can also give it a step. So that step could be, 7, which is a bit odd. But now I'm going from 0 or 1 or whatever we started at, and then up by 7. So if I go all the way to the top and then go down one little notch, it should be, 92? We're going down by 7. So if I go all the way down to the bottom and then go up by 1, we're at 8 because it started at 1, then it adds 7, so we get to 8. So we're jumping up by 7 each time, very bizarre. So I'll get rid of that. And we can also give it an initial value. So we're going from 1 to 100. I could give it a value at the beginning of, how about 75? Refresh, and there we are. It always starts there, but we can move it. Okay. So that's range inputs. These are relatively commonly used, not on every single form, but I figured you should know about them. The next one I'll show you, along these same lines, we actually have already seen this. It's the number input from way early all the way up here. I just wanted to show you we can do the same thing with a min and a max. So if I go back to my number, where are you? Input type equals number. I can give it a min. So this is supposed to be any number. How about min will be 1, max will be 10. Now, it shrinks down quite a bit. We can use CSS to change that, but maybe let's go max of 1,000. And you'll see that I can't go down below 1, and I couldn't go above 1,000. I'm not going to, well, I guess I could do this. And I can't go above 1,000. So we also have a step here if we wanted, step equals 2. This is going to give us, odd numbers? 1, 3, 5, and so on. Okay, so that is the same principle, but this time it's with a number input. The other one was a range input. Now, the next thing we'll take a look at is completely unrelated. It's not even an input, actually. It is a completely separate element called a text area. A text area you definitely have seen before online or just using websites. It is basically a multi-line text input. So it's where, you can type and hit enter and actually type a paragraph, an essay, all sorts of things. And these are not an input, right? They are a text area element where you have an opening and closing tag. So here, maybe down at the bottom, We'll do a paragraph, maybe with a label that says something like any special requests, ? And we'll add in a text area just like that. And we could just leave it at that, but we should label it definitely. So ID will be maybe requests, for requests. Okay, let's refresh. And here is our text area, and I can start typing. Now, there are a couple of things that we can do. We can control the initial number of rows. I don't remember, I guess it just defaults to 2 rows, so you can see there. But I can give it more. I can set rows to be 10. And we'll get a much longer, much taller text area. The thing is, though, I can go past that still, right? I just get a scroll bar. So we're setting that initial height, the number of rows. What else can we do? We can set the width using columns. We should give it a name. Should definitely do that. So let's give it a name. Probably just requests as well. I guess I'll give it a calls, just so you have this as a reference. How about calls of 20? How does that look? Is that the default? Is it really? How about 40? Yep, it was the default. And we could just, this is kind of hacky, but put a break in there for now. There we go. You can also set a placeholder. So placeholder special, I don't know, type something here. How about that? And there we go. That's pretty much it for a text area. So we can control the height and the width using rows and columns. We can give it placeholder text, but remember, it is not an input. Almost everything we've seen is an input with a type, except for select, which we saw, where we have options and select. And then here, text area is its own standalone element as well. Okay, that's pretty much it for the most important, most commonly used form controls. There are others, as we've seen, but those are the essentials.